front of these drivers and plenty of opportunities.
But yes, a bit of point of contention, but it doesn't matter now, Ron. We're going green.
Drivers are on their way, and it's a rather convincing start from Joyner. He's going to be leading them complicated. Heading through this bend, it tightens up though before they head on into turn number 8. This is going to be very close.
What is that?
Based off the fact you sound like you sat on a cold toilet seat there, Adam, but that was insane. And Kramer was mega sideways coming out of turn number 8.
That one got me. That one got me.
Look at this conga line. Dun 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 dun. Who was it that came up for the? Oh, that was Tolo coming in.
Most racing drivers don't improve because they don't know exactly what to fix. If you relate to that, this ad is for you. Because I have an online course that solves that. It's called the Motor Racing Checklist. 50 structured lessons that show you exactly how to improve your technique. You stop guessing and you start following a professional system. And if you don't improve in 28 days, you get your money back. This is how 11,000 of our student drivers make progress. Now it's your turn.
Well, hello and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Slow Motion Broadcasting, and welcome back to the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors. This is the 12th and final round of this season, coming to you today from Donington Park. My name is Ron Maunz. Alongside me in the commentary booth is Charles Boshell. Guido Marzucchi is our producer for today's broadcast. Well, Charles, it's all come down to this. After 11 weeks of racing action, we wrapped this season off at a rather medium racetrack, so to speak. Donington Park, it's got some medium speed corners, it's got some heavy braking zones, but it's nothing too spectacular. However, we have got some spectacularly bad weather as this track is absolutely soaked.
Yep. Wait, welcome to England. It's raining. Imagine that. So yeah, it's going to be one of those races. Not the biggest field we've had, but you know, we'll count the fact that there is a wet track. And we just finished a 24-hour iRacing special event, so there's a few of us lacking a few hours of sleep that may have contributed to it as well. And the championship battles, did, you know, amongst I think the two lower classes, we'll say lower classes, Spec 2 and Masters, are pretty much sewn up. So really, the only battle we've got is in Spec 1, and so I think may make it for a little bit lighter race, but still going to be some excitement on the track.
Yeah. I think there's going to be a very good way to bring this season to a close. It's been a fantastic season up to this point, but heading into this race, we've already got 2 championships fully locked up. I think we'll start in reverse order. We'll take a look at Masters first, which has been sealed up for quite some time. It has been the story of dominance for Antonio Reese. You can see 731 points on the board right now in the 914 car. Jeff Wubker slotted in P2. You can see at 534. Stevie Ray, Jim Brewster, and Alan DeGassis round out your top 5. Well, congratulate Jim on sealing the deal in the Formula V Weekend Warriors Championship in the Masters class yesterday. Not going to be able to get done here in the Formula Fords. However, if he is here today, may have a good opportunity to jump in front of Stevie, who, as we heard from him last week, will not be participating in this week. I believe he's out of town at the present moment. So Jim may have the opportunity to round out your Masters podium at the end of this season, but that's how it looks. Congratulations to Antonio Reese. He is your Masters champion here for Season 2 of 2025 from the FF Weekend Warriors. Gonna look on now to Spec 2, where it's been another story of dominance here, albeit slightly less so. It's still been Dan Witzak, who's been the creme de la creme, so to speak, throughout this season. You can see him at a staggering 648 points in front of Paul Jackson at 523. Dustin Meaden rounds out your top 3 at 277. Dan Witzak has been a force to be reckoned with all throughout this season, has 7 wins coming into this race. He's been incredible up to this point, so that's how it looks like in Spec 2 as Fernando Alfonso and Fabian Singer round out your top 5 in that class. But here's where it starts to get a little bit interesting. Gonna move on now to Spec 1, where you can see it is quite close between Sean Doyle and Daniel Tufts at the top of the running board. In fact, 4 points is the difference between those 2 racers. Doyle and Tufts, they've been rather quick up to this point in the season. Daniel Tufts hasn't grabbed a race win up to this point, which is a little bit surprising, albeit in that same vein, neither is Sean Doyle. They've just been incredibly consistent all throughout this season, getting those poles, getting those good results week in and week out. That's part of the reason why it's only 4 points between those racers at the top of Spec 1. Kevin Adrian a little bit farther back in third at 600 points. If he doesn't have a collapse here today, he is just basically going to be guaranteed and locked in as your P3. Would have to hope for some sort of falling anvils to come down onto Sean Doyle and Daniel Tufts for him to get involved, but that is still a rather intense championship battle in Spec 1. It's basically a winner takes all between those 2 racers heading into the final round of this championship. So Charles, Spec 1, man, that is going to be a real good talking point throughout this race.
Yeah, it really is. That battle between Tufts and Doyle is going to be something we'll have to watch for the entire 40 minutes because, as you said, it's just, they're 4 points apart, so it is almost winner take all. The highest point scorer wins the championship. So I'm sorry, Guido, I did not hear you there. So, all right. So, yep. So, so we'll be watching for that during the race. And today's challenges are pretty straightforward. Blame it on the rain. It's a wet track. That's going to make those medium speed corners that you mentioned earlier a lot less speedy. It's going to make it a lot more technical. So this track's going to shorten up because of that wet weather. Hold the racing line, obviously very important. You want to keep your line. Obviously, the race line changes a little bit with the wet weather. Once you get rubber down on that racing line, kind of have to move your car around a little bit to find where the grip is. And then finally, it might be a small field today, but there's going to be room for some really big mistakes because of the track conditions. So that'll be something we'll have to keep an eye on, and it may inadvertently cost somebody a championship. You never know.
Yeah, when it comes to a situation like this where it is so unpredictable, lots of stuff can go down. We were talking right before the start of the show how one of my first ever Formula Ford Weekend Warriors broadcasts, all the way back in Season 2 of 2024, was the rain-soaked race at Sebring, which has really lived on in infamy here in the Weekend Warriors circle. Lake Sebring, as we called it at the time. I remember being absolutely dumbfounded about that race because it was the first time I ever did a rain race broadcast as well. And ever since then, I've absolutely adored them. And let's give a slight little track guide here from Mikey Pollard as he heads his way down the start-finish straight away off into turn number 1 of Redgate. Really important to try and nail down this corner, but in the rain, you can see the sliding big time there. Want to also avoid the gravel that will certainly be strewn across the track on the outside line. This is turn number 2 down the hill. Want to avoid the puddles as best as he can. Really nothing that he could have done to run off the racing line as he heads his way through craner curves of turn number 3 down into the old hairpin of 4. You can see that massive puddle on the inside. You shouldn't even look at that, let alone even touch it with a 10-foot pole. So that's super risky there. Under Starkey's bridge through turn number 5, now into 6. This is McLean's of turn number 7, which is usually a very tricky corner in the dry. Throw some rain into the mix as well, and you're going to be in for a bit of trouble. Here's Coppice, turn number 8, a real tough corner to try and nail down. Usually see these racers try and use the curb, but you can see that curb is a mix of everything you don't want to have. It's rubbered in and it's painted, wet paint. So you are going to be slipping and sliding if you do even look at those curves heading off to that section. Bit of a reprieve here down the back stretch into the S's at turn number 9 and 10 chicane. I've seen some drivers even lose it hang down that straightaway, so super tough to run through there, but you can see that chicane really clunky in the dry and really only one line to go through there quickly, and you have to worry about the puddles there as well. So that is a nightmare scenario in this race coming up. Here's a Melbourne hairpin, turn number 11. It's off camber and one of the most frustrating corners to try and nail down here in the sim racing world, and second only as far as I'm concerned to this turn, Goddard's turn number 12. My version of hell on earth. It's downhill off camber. You can't really see anything around there, and in the rain as well, it's going to be a slip and slide. That is a very challenging lap here of Donington Park. However, one driver who, as he usually does, has been able to master the challenge is your current provisional pole sitter of Ian Joyner. He's currently holding on to a 148.953. Daniel Tufso slotted in P2 as we follow Joyner in that 8 car heading his way through turn number 5. But that's a big performance there from Daniel Tufts. Again, not out of the woodwork just yet. He needs to be there at the end. But based off the fact he's set to start in 2nd and Sean Doyle set to start in 8th, it's already looking pretty good for the driver of the number 34 car.
Yeah, it really is. You got, obviously qualifying is going to be key here. You want to be up to the front, as close to the front as possible. You don't want the spray. You don't want all the dirty air, and you don't want all the traffic around you. So you want to be out front, maybe get a good jump, and set yourself up for a very quiet race. And yeah, I can just imagine as they come down through that through that hairpin section. You get on that inside on that puddle, and it's basically you lay on the brakes, and you're basically a flat rock skipping on a pond as you just barrel your way straight through the track off into the grass, and hopefully you don't collect anybody else. So that is one of those treacherous things. This is a very technical track. It's difficult in the dry. I'm glad I'm not out there in the wet trying to navigate in these cars.
And, we're going to have a pretty good challenge here in a couple of days' time, in exactly 1 week's time here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, as we brace ourselves for the 45th Weekend Warriors virtual runoffs. Going to be running all of them at Road America in the sim. Going to have some nice Formula V, Formula Ford, and Spec Racer Ford action. All of the action you will be able to catch here on Slow Motion Broadcasting in about 1 week's time. That's going to be a good one. We had a pretty good time with the runoffs last time out when we were running at Monza. The Formula Fords were running on the oval, which was a very interesting spectacle. Won't have an oval race there, but certainly will be a slipstream fest at Road America in 1 week's time here on SMB, as a checkered flag is out in this qualifying session. Has been for the past minute and a half. Looking good for Joyner, looking good for Tufts. McConnell not really improving on this lap at the present moment. The rain is still coming down, and the track is rather cool as well. It's 66 degrees Fahrenheit, so really not any room to improve for these racers. So I think everyone will just about be set in their positions. Joyner looking to start from the provisional pole. It'll be Antonio Reese, your top qualifying Masters racer, slotted in P5 in his victory lap at the end of this season. Batonio, he has been unstoppable throughout this season in the Formula Fords, and looking to cap off this season with a very good note indeed. And our congratulations go out to your Spec 2 champion, your Spec 2 pole sitter, and your Spec 2 winner of Dan Witzak. He's the only Spec 2 racer running here today, currently slotted in at P9, and he can do whatever he wants in this race, as that's Antonio Reese losing it on the curb there. The curbs around this track, as I said in that track guide, I didn't really verbalize it too well, though. I mean, it's a painted curb, so that's bad enough as is. But a lot of the curbs around here are incredibly rubbered in too, so that is absolutely insane. So gonna see that challenge throughout this race, but we've had a fantastic second half of this season, and to bring the action to life, we have had a fantastic sponsor in the form of Almeida Racing Academy.
6 years ago, this was my simulator. Now, I'm a Radical US champion and IMSA driver. My technique in the simulator is what brought me here. Now, I created the Almeida Racing Academy, a place where members can participate in weekly broadcasted championship races, practice sessions, coaching workshops, and much more. We already have 11,000 students in the academy, and we're growing faster than ever. Our membership gives you everything you need every week to improve consistently and become a competitive driver. So join now as a member, and I will see you on track.
We would like to thank Almeida Racing Academy, Sulio Almeida, and all the fantastic crew behind the scenes over there for supporting the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors throughout the second half of the season, and hopefully they'll be back for Season 3 of 2025. But we've got starting grid to take a look at for the final race of this season, and let's take a look at it. It's going to be Ian Joyner starting from the pole, Daniel Tufts in P2, Michael McConnell will start this race in third. Alongside him will be Mikey Pollard. Antonio Reese will be your top qualifying Masters racer, and Josh Wilkie will start this race alongside him in sixth. Kevin Adrian in seventh, Sean Doyle, the Aussie, in P8. Dan Witzak will start in ninth. Alongside him will be Alan DeGassis. Soren Garrett will start in P11 with Jeff Wubker rounding at your 12-car starting grid for this final race of the season. And hopefully all of you tuning into this broadcast will be able to enjoy the racing action as these drivers look to try and navigate the rain as quickly as they can here at Donington. And of course, to do well, you need to miss the racing line, which is certainly something you shouldn't do. This upcoming week, Dan Witzak will be on the show, and you can catch that over on the Right Esports YouTube channel. But with possibly the most terrible plug that I've done thus far this season out of the way, Charles, this is going to be a good one. We've got a tough race in front of us, and very happy that we're here in the warm and most importantly dry commentary booth.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be a very difficult race. You know, like I said, small grid, but, you know, if you just get two of our drivers out on the track, we're going to have a good race. That's just how these guys are. So, yeah, looking forward to this. Obviously, the first couple of laps until they get some heat in the tires is going to be very, very tricky. It's going to be out there. Hopefully, they've got enough practice and qualifying laps in that they've kind of familiarize ourselves where all the puddles are so they can avoid those as they start the race. And once they get the tires heated up and they start setting some good pace, then I think we'll begin for a good event here as they're coming around that Melbourne hairpin now and then heading down to Ron's favorite corner, and we'll get ready to get this race started.
Yeah, turn 12, my absolute dream corner. You know, my main rival back in my karting days, and my friend Robbie Campbell, he used to run the number 12. So I guess it's some just bad association with the number 12. I don't know, maybe my brain just does some very odd things of the sorts. But about to get the green flag for the final time this season. That pace car has made the turn to come down pit lane. The green flag is down. The drivers are on their way. Joyner getting off to a flyer, but Daniel Tufts has as well. They're going to be side by side down into turn number 1. Tufts crowding him down to the inside, trying to make something work. He's on the prowl for a championship, but he hits the curb on corner exit. That's going to be a sketchy moment from Daniel Tufts. Did he keep that car going in a straight line? He did. He remains in P2. However, he's got a challenge from Mikey Pollard. Michael McConnell looking to get something done as well to jump his way up into the podium as all these racers head their way down the hill into the old hairpin for the very first time.
Yeah, good start. You saw a great job by Tufts to get that car right, and great job by everybody behind him, because obviously you coming into turn 1 on the first lap, everybody's still stacked up. So great job to avoid the sliding car, and we continue on with the race. Oh, there's a spin.
Whoa, and that is big off-track moment, and that's Sean Doyle, your championship contender, with a big off-track moment. That's heading down into McLean's, and it looks he's beached it. You can see the gravel gang kicked up as, more drama! That's Daniel Tufts spinning his way through turn number 8. I think he had to have gotten touched there, because that was a big unfortunate space to be stopped in. Both of our championship contenders having big drama at the start of this race. Sean Doyle, he is not rolling. He is still stopped there on the racetrack. He is desperately trying to find any way to get back up and rolling. I think he has done now. So Sean Doyle back out and away. Ian Joyner is leading this race in front of Mikey Pollard in P2. Michael McConnell rounds out your podium. Antonio Reese is your top running Masters leader. There's Dan Witzak in the Spec 2 class. But both of our championship contenders having drama in basically back-to-back corners as well. It was Doyle going off into 7 and then Tough spinning through 8.
Yeah, absolutely. That was kind of bizarre, but it's the only one that's really smiling about that is Kevin Adrian, who's starting the championship. He's still on the track running in 7th, and there's a big gap back to Tufts in 11th and further back to Sean Doyle in 12th.
And I am absolutely staggered that Daniel Tufts and Sean Doyle are both running in this race. The way that Tufts spun, if he was just a little bit slower in that spin, he probably would have gotten T-boned by someone. As you can see, Doyle losing it in the spray up the hill, down into turn 7. And, oh, he tapped the wall ever so slightly. I wonder if there's damage on that race car. You can see him spinning around there, trying to find any way in the book to fish himself out of the gravel. Shades of Kimi Räikkönen at the 2015 U.S. Grand Prix as he was teeter-tottering on the edge of that race car. Finally gets it up and rolling, but Tufts, he hit the curb, hit the grass, and then around he goes.
Yeah, obviously Doyle's instant. He was right behind Antonio Reese, and you could see Reese working hard to keep the car in a straight line, and it was just that much more exaggerated for Doyle, and just absolutely lost the car. Oh, has he lost it again? We're going to be on board. Here's Antonio Reese now, and same area of the track, I think.
That's the old hairpin.
Yeah, there it is. It just loses the rear, gets in the grass, and can't quite recover it. A little half spin, but able to get the car righted and back around and hit it in the right direction. Obviously, no championship drama for him. He locked that up a couple of weeks ago.
Yes, I think everyone is having their own struggles. As here's Josh Wilkie in the number 23 car heading his way down into turn number 8. Shades of what happened to Tufts. He gets a little bit sideways, hits that curb, and once you hit that, there's only really 2 things that can happen. As you can see him nearly taking Soren Garrett's off the track with him as you rejoin the racetrack. Really nothing he could have done when it comes to controlling that race car in conditions like this. Wowzers, it's super, super tough out there. But that moment there from Wilkie, you can see as soon as he hit that curb on the outside of turn number 8 is basically as wide as a Formula Ford car is. So as soon as you hit that, there's basically 2 options you've got. You either turn the wheel to try and get the front end back underneath you, in which case the front will snap around and the rear will decide, you know what, I'm just going in a straight line, and then you'll loop it anyways, as that's a move from Tufts on the gases down the hill into turn number 3. Daniel Tufts is still in it to win it in this championship, as Doyle still well farther back. He is going to have to put in a mighty drive if he wants to get himself back involved in that championship discussion. Big drama at the start of this race. That moment that we saw from Wilkie, it highlights how dangerous the curbs are around this track in conditions like these.
Yeah, absolutely. And you was watching Doyle just struggling to get around turn 1. I don't think he hit the barrier hard enough to do any kind of suspension damage. I just think he's struggling with the car and with the track. As you saw, and Wilkie, just to add to that, you could just see, looked like it's maybe he was just couldn't get the car to stop. He was maybe locking up, coming down through there on the brakes. And basically just had to kind of flow through the corner exit over into the curb, and I think did a pretty good job to keep that car and recover it without coming back on in a very dangerous way.
As that was Dan Witzak losing it at the end of the back straightaway down into the 9 and 10 chicane. That started pretty much as soon as he hit that brake pedal. I saw that car get a little bit of a wiggle on, and when that happens, there's just no hope in hell of you being able to make it that turn. So he just took the easy ride, went off through the grass and the gravel. Bit of a cleanup at the end of this race. But hey, it's not like these cars were going to be pristine at the end of it all as well. But I will say Daniel Tufts has put on a rousing recovery drive thus far, as Sean Doyle's had another moment in the number 74 car. This is disaster for the Aussie as he heads his way down the backstretch into the S's. Will it be what happened to Tufts just done to Doyle? Looking through. No, he hit the puddle on the inside turn number 9 and loses it.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was, and it just maybe carrying a little too much speed through there, and tried to nurse it onto the brakes. We see Antonio Reese coming in through the serrated pit area of this track, so yeah, you could just see Doyle struggling basically since the start of the race.
Yeah, that is going to be a real tough start for Doyle. I mean, if you have two high key incidents at the start of this race, we aren't even 7 minutes into this 40-minute long race. That will do a lot just for morale. So Sean Doyle, he is going to have to put his nose to the grindstone and keep with it in order for him to have a really good shot. Plus, he just needs to make up a boatload of time as well. Probably hope for some falling anvils to come down and crash onto his competitors. As we take a look at this 3-car pack involving Soren Garrett's in 5th, Josh Wilkie in 6th, and Daniel Tufts rounding out the top 7. Got Dan Woodsack running right behind him, as that's now Tufts trying to get a move done on Wilkie down the backstretch off into the turn. These two have a bit of a sordid history in terms of their on-track battles, but I think Wilkie knows that Tufts is in it to win the championship, and he lets them have it down into turn number 9 and 10. Will Wilkie fight back down into the Melbourne hairpin? Survey says he will not, as Sean Doyle, he's had another moment. It was about 2 seconds between himself and Antonio Reese, but that has now ballooned out to nearly 10, as you can see him with the sideways snap through 6, down, and oh boy, that's Doyle losing it yet. And guys, I think Michael McConnell's also had a moment as well.
Yeah, so we're coming through that, it was like the Melbourne hairpin, coming up to the final corner here, Goddard's, and just a little too far outside, maybe too much steering input, and it's just something you can't do. You got to try when you're in the rain. You got to try and make all your inputs on the car as smooth as possible. You can't do anything drastic, and that includes whether it's the throttle, the brake, or the steering wheel. And you see Wubker around as well, just too wide out on the outside of that corner. Tries to correct with the steering wheel, and that just will not work today.
You know, I think I was quoted during the spec race before. Yeah, oh boy, that was Soren Garrett's with a snap heading his way through turn number 5. That's going to allow Daniel Tufts to draw alongside on the outside down into turn number 7 of McLean's. Will this be a move to jump his way up into the top 5? It will be a move for him to jump his way up into the top 5. Tufts getting that move done in rather commanding fashion. That's a slick move on a slick racetrack. That is very impressive for him to get that move done. As another moment from Garrett's through turn number 8. There is no good handling car around this racetrack, well, unless you're Ian Joyner, who's currently leading by 4.6 seconds. But in conditions like these around a track like this, there is no good race car. There's only the least terrible.
Yeah, I think that's right. And it's, obviously we haven't really mentioned Ian because he's out front by almost 5 seconds. And it seems like he's, pretty capable of handling the wet stuff. We've seen him just walk off during these rain races and leave everybody behind. So he's really, really comfortable. But for everybody else, yeah, it's still a struggle. Obviously, rain is still fairly new in iRacing, and it is for the Formula Fords. It's only been around for a couple of seasons. So not everybody gets this, and they don't always, not every race is a rain race, so you see it sporadically. So it really helps that you've got to put laps in. That's the only way to really get comfortable in the car in the wet, and you can see these guys, a lot of them struggling. I mean, it's, these are drivers that we see race, nose to tail, wheel to wheel, week in and week out. But it seems like when we're in the rain, it seems like it just causes a little bit of struggle for everybody. Ooh, Whitsack, just see the car as it gets light coming down the hill through the crater curves there. It just wants to just move around and slide and spin. Oh no, and there's Adrian off on the left right there as we walk by. Yep, there we go. And you see just a little wide in there and just struggles to get it back on the track. Curb's not helping.
Yeah, he had that initial snap coming out of turn number 4, then again through 5 with some overcooked tires, loops it. Oh, as you can see, that right there was a Code Brown moment if ever you've seen it from Michael McConnell. It was a matter of inches between himself and a race-ending collision. Not going to be a good moment there from Kevin Adrian. He's now fallen down to 8th, even behind Dan Witzak, the current Spec 2 leader. I say current Spec 2 leader is the only driver running a Spec 2. your Spec 2 winner at the end of this race, no matter what happens of Dan Witzak, as that's another moment from Garrett, and that's going to be a move from Witzak, maybe, as he looks around the outside, down into the Melbourne hairpin, about to hit the brakes now, and will it be a move from him? You can see Garrett's overcooking it a bit, and Witzak a swap back to the inside. Joyner sets the fast lap of the race last time by, as here comes Witzak, still trying to make that move stick around either on the inside of Garrett's or around the outside, trying to find any way in the book to get past him. Looks like that battle has cooled off at the very least for now, but Soren Garrett, he has been the driver who's been the most sideways throughout this race. That's not a bad thing. He's been able to hold on to it. Hasn't had a spin yet. Keyword being yet. In conditions like this, you can never guarantee anything. But Garrett, he has been overdriving that car to hell and back. As you can see, the 21 car with another big moment down into 1.
Yeah, and of course, obviously, the person who knows that better than anybody is the guy right behind him, and that's Witzak. And Witzak did exactly what you would want to do. He just went down the inside. Garrett took a defensive line down into the hairpin, and obviously Witzak's thinking he's going to brake late. He's going to overcook this corner. I'm just going to be able to undercut him. But Garrett did a really good job of getting the car stopped and keeping a good enough line that there's a spin.
Whoa.
And it was right in front of Witzak. I don't know if there was a contact or not. Looks like Witzak got through.
Yeah, that was Soren Garrett's looping it as Alan DeGassis had a moment of his own. That was heading down into turn at number 4. But we're going to take a look at this moment with Garrett's first. I think this is definitely a jinx from me. Yeah, you can see him just looping it there. Didn't even hit the curb or anything of the sort, just losing it in tough conditions. And that's a big hit into the wall. Looks like that left front is broken off. So Soren Garrett's going to be the first driver who I believe is to tow back to pit lane. I think he's decided to call it there. So the commentator's jinx really hitting Soren. I apologize for him. Oh, wow. That was DeGassis with a snap. But yeah, Soren Garrett, he is alt F4 out of the session. I can see that he is manually disconnected, which is iRacing lingo for saying, you know what, I'm punching out of this. Alt F4 done already. I'm going to switch my attention to getting on with the rest of my afternoon. As I think DeGassis has had another moment in the 904. Nobody is immune to having these moments happen in conditions like this, Charles.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that was just way too hot. Could not get the car to stop. And you could just see the car, just the wheels locking as he was trying to get the car slowed down for that chicane, and just basically cut straight through the gravel trap there to get back onto the track.
Yeah, that right there was probably the quickest detour you have ever seen. It takes a very experienced driver to have that moment down into there and think, you know what? No, thank you. I'm good.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, here's a big point of drama. Here's a big moment. Sean Doyle's out. Sean Doyle's out of this race. So I think, based off of our math and the numbers we have available to us, that will just about seal the deal for Daniel Tufts to be your champion in Spec 1 here in Season 2 of 2025. He can do pretty much whatever he wants between now and the end of this, although I think he probably wants to keep it on the road and win this championship on the racetrack. As you can see, he's battling with that race car to keep it on the road with a snap coming out of turn number 7. Should be noted here as well, though, Kevin Adrian is not exactly out of this championship battle just yet. He would have to hope for Daniel Tufts to have some sort of drama, but if Tufts DNFs, we would see the driver of the number 10 car maybe get involved in that championship battle. I'm not sure with the low amount of drivers in this race if he would be able to get it done, but at the same time, very good reason why I'm behind the microphone instead of working as an accountant or something like that. I'm not very good when it comes to numbers, but either way, though, it's a disaster for Sean Doyle. We gotta really feel bad for him. Tough conditions, really nothing that he could have done to prepare. I mean, there is something that he could do to try and prepare for this. I think it would probably be walking on a slip and slide that he coated with olive oil.
Yeah, that might help, but obviously, I'm not sure your shoes have the same traction as these tires. But yeah, it's one of those that it really just comes down to practice and experience, right? The more laps you run, the more comfortable you're going to be. Obviously, this kind of runs in concurrence with the iRacing official calendar. Now Stevie does have the ability to make changes to that. He tries to keep it as close as he can, but he will call an audible here and there. I don't know if the official sessions were wet or not. So that would have been a good way of doing it, as we see Wupker going around there. That hairpin corner there is still lethal, as you just see cars just really can't get the line right, trying to, take it as tight as you can without getting into that puddle on the inside, and just looks like most people thereabouts, as we see Witzak spinning as well, is just carrying too much speed. And that little section of, oh, this is live, and this is that little section of tracks caused fits for everybody today.
Yeah, I don't think there's a single part of this racetrack that these drivers have been 100% comfortable through. I will say, looking through this field, I think there is only one driver, or maybe two, who haven't spun yet. Keyword being yet, and that's Ian Joyner and Mikey Pollard. Everyone else, though, has had their own bit of drama, as Alan DeGassis, he's had a tough and torrid time of things as of recent. It's a sideways snap on entry into the old hairpin at turn number 4. I think I mention this every single time we do a broadcast here at Donington. Despite being called the old hairpin, that has never been a hairpin, or at least as we like to call a hairpin. It has always been that style of kink for as long as this track has been in existence, which dates back all the way back to the 1920s. So I'm not sure where they got the name hairpin initially. Maybe the hairpins back in the 20s looked a little bit different than they do right now. But Ian Joyner just on the edge of control, heading his way down the hill off into that very same section of the racetrack, the old hairpin at turn 4. But coming down the hill out of 3, let's in fact just, oh man, right on board with Joyner. This is poetry in motion that we're seeing right now. It's peaceful from our perspective, but I can imagine for him under the helmet, it is just terrifying.
Yeah, he's definitely working that wheel, and I think we saw something there as we were coming down the Craner curves. There's basically a little stream of water that runs across the track, and I think that's what's catching people out. I think they're hitting that and basically having a little mini aquaplane, and that's what's causing all the damage, or all the slides and spins through that section, as you're kind of working through a couple of corners, and then you hit some elevation change along with a little bit of stream of water, and the next thing you know, you're backing yourself into the grapple trap. So you can see that this course is even more difficult than what I don't think we were expecting this level of difficulty when we got here.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think, I mean, just looking through at the weather forecast, we knew it was going to rain. We didn't know it was going to be this just unyielding. It has been a consistent stream of rain coming down. It may look sunny. The rain is still coming down, though, as Ian Joyner improves on his fast lap of the race. That man is absolutely unstoppable. I swear, if he ran all the races this season, he probably would have been a shoo-in for back-to-back championships. Speaking of unstoppable forces, I want to raise this as well. Not sure how many of you tuning into this broadcast today were able to catch the action from yesterday's Formula V Weekend Warriors race, but Tortolo won the championship at the end of that season by a single point over Jason Green, despite the fact he only raced 8 times. But in those 8 races, he managed to win 5 races. So talk about an unstoppable force, man. We've got some absolutely fantastic drivers here in the Weekend Warriors.
Yeah, Tor is a fantastic young kid and an awesome driver. I think he drives V's professionally. So we got another spin. Looks like we've got is this Kevin Adrian? It is. So we're coming down into turn 1 in the red gate, and let's see what we got here. I think that was kind of maybe an on throttle. It kind of looks like he had a good line going in. He had the right speed going in, but then when he put the foot down, maybe a little thunderfoot, and just kicked the rear around.
Yeah, unfortunate there for the driver in the red car heading down into red gate. His relative going to be deeply in the red after that moment there. So that's going to be an unfortunate moment for Adrian. Still technically involved in that championship battle. However, it's looking quite good for Daniel Tufts, who's now given us a little bit of a chase down here with himself and Michael McConnell currently running at your podium in 3rd. That's 0.6 of a second between those two racers as you see them dance as delicately as they can, heading off through the 9 and 10 chicane. There's no way to get around that section smooth, and you can definitely see that in these Formula 4s. It reminds me of the last time I ever went ice skating. As Jeff Wubker, he's had a terrible run this lap, was leading in Masters. He's now had some sort of drama, drop behind DeGassis, has now dropped behind Antonio Reese as well. Let's take a look at this moment down into turn number 7, and yet again, hits that puddle on the inside. That's the first time we've seen a driver go for that style of detour.
Yeah, that was an overcorrection as he just kind of felt the rear coming around to the right-hand side. He just kind of counter-steered, and it caught, and then the next thing you know, you're back around headed the opposite direction, and that's exactly what happened there. And that is a new way of doing it. So that's we'll give him points for style. How about that? And originality.
We'll give him the style and originality points for having an off-track excursion of that nature. You know what? I'm going to say this right now. For as long as I am doing iRacing broadcasts, I have never seen a driver hit the bridge that we just saw there. I think there's been another moment here, and this, I believe, is Mikey Pollard with a moment down into turn number 8. He's going to go, hits that curb, hits the grass, then scrapes it off into the gravel, tries to, he kept it going in a very nice direction there, but I think there may have been some more drama a little bit later on. No, I think, he just kept it going. That is, of all the off-track moments we've seen up to this point, that is probably the smoothest we've had, as Daniel Tufts gets that moved on Michael McConnell rather uncontestedly down the backstretch into turn number 9 and 10. I'm not sure if uncontestedly is a word, but screw it, it is one now.
yeah, good move, and that was no contest there from McConnell. Tufts just makes his way through, and did a good job of collecting the car as they're working their way down now into the hairpin and back out. Yeah, so nicely done by Tufts. He's working his way back up. So obviously you can see one mistake from him, but has had a pretty stellar race thus far, other than the big mistake he had at the beginning of the race, and is able to work his way back up into the podium.
Yeah, so pretty good comeback drive from Daniel Tufts, despite the fact he's one spot down from where he started in this race. Is that okay? I thought we were just gonna see Kevin Adrian decide, you know what, screw it, I must go, my planet needs me, and then go straight heading down into turn at number 12. As here's your Masters leader of Antonio Reese. He's running right behind your Spec 2 winner of Dan Witzak, who's made the call to come down pit lane. Already halfway through this 40-minute long race, the final 40-minute long race of this season, and got a lot of racing action to look forward to here in season 3 of 2025 here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. So happy to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss out on the action, as that's Daniel Tufts missing out on the apex through turn number 4, and he kept it going.
Nicely done. Yep, and was able to keep it going the right direction and able to keep the position, more importantly. He's got McConnell right on his tail, though, so they have to keep an eye on that as we're on board here with, back to Tufts and McConnell. And you can see Tufts just working hard, trying to keep that car in a straight line. And McConnell's doing a good job. It's hard to drive when you're that close behind the car in the spray. Your vision is basically nothing. All you see is a big gray sheet in front of you. And so it's a little bit of work to do that, because these cars even have rain lights. I don't even think so. I don't think there's a lot on the back of the car, so it makes it very, very difficult to see when you're that close behind another car.
I think there is a very small one.
Oh, there it is. I found it. Yep.
Yeah, a small little, as I would say, a pequeño light on the back of these race cars.
It's like a bike reflector.
Yeah, basically, that's basically what it looks like. I feel like there should be an option where you could just get like one of those really powerful, like, green laser pointers just pointed at drivers behind you. It's like, you know what? Hey, this is a good defensive maneuver. You're not going to be able to get a move on me because I'm going to blind you. Zip, zip. Had to pull in those sound effects there. I think a chihuahua may have just exploded with those sounds. As here's Kevin Adrian at the moment down into turn number 11. Let's see what happened to the driver of the number 10 car, heading off into my favorite corner of them all.
Yeah, and he took a very odd line through there the last time, and looks like he did not repeat that, but just carried a little too much speed. A little half spin, gets the car righted. Luckily, the cars are kind of a little further apart, and so nobody in danger of being damaged.
I believe Antonio Reese has he's been able to jump into the Masters lead and came into the pits very early on into this race. I'm looking through. In fact, I believe he came into the pits all the way on lap 3. So very early stop from Antonio Reese, which you'd usually look at that and think, okay, there is no hope in hell of him being able to make it to the checkered flag. But in these rain races, considering how much time you spend off throttle, you could be able to come in like 1 or 2 laps into this race and still be able to make it to the end. And on that same vein, the opposite is true. We've seen some drivers be able to make it all the way through one of these races in the rain, as here's Ian Joyner. Hasn't put a foot wrong ever since the drop of the green flag. He's now coming down the pits and coming through a section of pit lane, which has actually flared up my back pain just looking at it.
Yeah, that's the serrated pit lane. As we're here with Pollard taking the lead. Once again, Pollard done a really good job. We saw that one little mistake he made, was able to right the car very, very smartly. Well done to rejoin the track, and he's kept it fairly close. He was in 9 seconds. He was within 5 seconds for most of the race until he had the mistake. As we see Josh Wilkie coming into the pit stop for his pit as well. And I think if we didn't have the rule that you have to make a pit stop, mandatory pit stop during the race, I think these cars could probably go the 40 minutes without stopping.
I think that would probably be a realistic option. I mean, in the dry, if you want to make it all the way to the end, as you can see running through the puddle, I thought we were going to see Ian Joyner spin out of P2 and allow Daniel Tufts to jump his way up there, as that's another sideways snap from Joyner, adding his way through turn number 5. If I had $1 for every single odd sound effect and onomatopoeia that has come out of my mouth thus far during this broadcast, I'm pretty sure I'd be able to pay the crash damage that happened to some of these races a little bit earlier on in the show, as it's nose to tail between Joyner and Tufts. They head their way through turn number 8.
Yeah, and I'm just kind of looking. There's a real discrepancy between some of the guys that pitted early versus some of the guys that just pitted. Antonio Reese was a little under 10 seconds for his stop. Dan Witzak was 8.7, but Ian Joyner and Josh Wilkie were 17 seconds. Oh, no. And Adrian, it looks like he's going to call it a day here. Let's see. As he's working through, just gets over in the curb and just can't hold it. Oh, no. And here we go. Into the wall. Yep. Broken suspension. Lots of aero damage. That's probably, I think that's day done for Kevin, unfortunately. He has towed back to the pits. So we'll see if he comes back out on track or not. Obviously, he's still got the opportunity to gain. I don't know if he's got enough to gain and jump a position, but he will obviously submit his 3rd place in the championship.
Yeah, and in the process of that wreck, even if he rejoins the racetrack, that is just about it for him. So Daniel Tufts, pretty much a champion-elect here in the Spec 1 category here for Season 2 of 2025, as that was a close call from Dan Witzak. He lost it, didn't completely spin out, and then kept it out of the barrier. So well done to Witzak. He is probably going to be getting that promotion up to Spec 1 for next season. And thinking about Witzak and what he may be able to do next season as we follow our race leader of Mikey Pollard, what are your expectations, just glossary expectations, of Dan Witzak for next season, as he may be running in Spec 1?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of drivers in Spec 2 that if they move up to Spec 1, I think they're still going to be competitive. Witzak's been running, in the top 10 overall pretty much week in and week out. So I don't think we expect anything less than that going forward. So, he might not be a championship contender Season 1 moving up, but he's definitely going to be in the conversation. How about that? So I don't expect anything. Whoa, there's Mikey. Hang on to it, Mikey. Great job. Very well held there coming around that final chicane or final hairpin. So yeah, I don't expect anything different. I think you'll still see Witzak running up in the top 10 and being competitive and trying to collect enough points to be in the conversation for the overall podium at the end of the season.
And as we see these racers head their way around the track, it's a brief little window and it's not going to last forever, but look at the skies. The sun's peeking out and the only mist in the air is coming off the back of these race cars. I can see clearly now the rain is gone, and these drivers are very happy about that news. The track is even starting to warm up as well. Currently at 69 degrees Fahrenheit. Perfect timing for me to mention that. That wasn't even intentional. As these racers head their way out of the chicane, this may be a fight between Alan Degassis and Dan Witzak, the iRacing commentary gods, getting back at me at a very, very cheap joke and nearly making me choke my water, as that's Degassis and Witzak running nose to tail, and we may end up seeing a battle between these two in the not-too-far-off future, as Kevin Atrain has rejoined the race, albeit he is one lap down, so his chances of having a perfect day just about washed.
Yeah, but he's still out there, and so he's gonna there's always the potential for somebody else dropping out. So he's got there's still the potential for picking up a spot or two here before the end of the race. But he is out there, and he's gonna finish what he started. So it's only about 8.5 minutes left. So we'll see how this all shakes out. As Power's done a good job, he's kept that gap pretty even to Joyner after Joyner's pit stop. And as I was saying earlier, Joyner's pit stop was 17 seconds. If Pollard can come in and crack out a 8 or 9 second pit stop, he may be in control of this race at the end of it. So it's still something we're going to keep an eye on.
Mikey Pollard yet again setting a quick lap, and that is a stormer of a lap time from him last time by a 1:49.548. That is very quick for the driver from the UK. There's a joke to be made. Hey, he's from the UK. He's used to racing in the rain, but he's currently a race leader in front of Joyner, another Brit in P2, and Daniel Tufts rounding out your podium. Guess what? Another Brit. So as much as the jokes have been made, and they were definitely made last season when we had, I think, about 8 out of the 12 races here from the Weekend Warriors be ran at British racetracks. To those who are unfamiliar with this series, for the weather forecast, we take what goes on in real life at the exact same date of this race going on. So in Donington Park right now, this is just about the weather that is going on there in real life and the weather going on as a result in the sim. And the schedules as of recent seasons have been set up by Motorsports UK, which is part of the reason why we've had an abundance of British racetracks. A bit less here for season 2 compared to season 1, where we had so many British racetracks. I'm pretty sure I started to like beans on toast at the end of that season. But right now, still have a couple of British racetracks to look forward to for season 3. But as much as the jokes have definitely been made, and it's not made out of malice, obviously, but there's definitely some correlation to the fact that we've got 3 Brits running in the top 3 as the rain is starting to come down once again.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I've actually been to UK. I went over with, met some of my teammates at Olympus Esports, and we did a road trip from basically from around Sheffield in the UK to Le Mans for the 24-hour race. And it just so happens when I was there, it was during the hottest and not rainiest part that they've had in several decades when I was there. And I was like, okay, this is fine. This is my normal weather with a little less humidity. And there's like, we're all dying. I was like, this is not bad. Be quiet. I don't know what you're complaining about. It could be raining.
I'm trying to think of the best sort of rain experience I had. I remember back when I was in elementary school, I was so happy that a hurricane blew through my neighborhood up here in Philly that the schools got canceled for a couple of days. I was so happy about that happening. Now as an adult, I realize I may have been a bit of a psychopath, which maybe that's passed on to my adulthood, as that's Dan Witzak getting a move done on Alan Degassis, who is very slow, heading his way on the outside through turn number 11, missed the apex, and the track that we've got right now, I feel like even outside of the racing line is super tough. So there is basically one line around this racetrack, and nobody has been able to find it, because I'm pretty sure that one line would entail them running on the grass the whole time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's but I will say this: the lap times have dropped about 2 seconds since we started the race, so it definitely means that the track is starting to dry a little bit. So the lap times are starting to ramp up as we see Pollard into the pit. So here's the money stop.
And this is your race leader making that call to come down pit lane in the number 73 car. Here's Ian Joyner, who did hold on to the race lead when he came into the pits not too terribly long ago. We'll look to re-inherit that spot as we have under 4.5 minutes left to go from this race and from this season here from the FF Weekend Warriors. To those tuning in, championships are just about locked. Daniel Tufts is set to win it in Spec 1 as Mikey Pollard maybe going to be able to jump in front of Ian Joyner potentially. Nope. I thought it was going to come the way of Ian Joyner, and part of the reason why that was the case is because he set a good lap last time by to 148.1, as here's Tufts, your provisional championship winner in Spec 1 coming into the pits, along with Michael McConnell right behind.
Yep, absolutely, as they're into the pits for their stop with about 4 minutes left in the race, and we see Josh Wilkie here. What's going to happen with old Josh? He's coming down through the chicane. And he's going to take the left. He's not going to take enough of the left. You can just see him, just see the car wasn't going to slow down. And he said, you know what, we'll just take it to the gravel. We'll come back out on the track and make it the safe way around. And that's what he's done. So he's still out there. He's worked to slow down. Obviously, the slowdowns here, you know, when you're in a rain race, if you get a slowdown for cutting a corner or anything like that, that goes away quite quickly because you're not anywhere close to top pace that you would be in a dry.
And one more thing to raise, talking about these Formula Fords, as much as I've talked ad nauseum probably during this broadcast about the challenges of this track, these cars in the rain are, I feel like saying they aren't a bed of roses would be even not doing it justice. These cars in wet weather, you would be better off trying to make a brand new Major League Baseball game by duct taping gloves to cats and just sending them out in the fields. It is not a good car to run around in wet conditions. So really, these drivers are doing their best. All credit to all of these racers, and credit to all of them that are going to take the checkered flag, because that is a feat in and of itself. For these drivers to do, as I believe we are on 2 to go. Joyner going to be taking the white flag next time by. To cap off was going to be another fantastic drive from him. Ian Joyner, he came into the season not really expecting himself to make too many races. Skipped on the first part of the season, and I don't believe I don't believe he's going to be able to jump into the top 3 when it comes to the championship points leaving this race. But Joyner, if he can hang on to this race lead, this will be, that's Alan DeGassis with another spin in the 904 car. That's heading his way all through the mid-sector of the track. I believe it's another loop around coming out of turn number 5. Let's take a look at here in the 904. Under the bridge he's going to go, and around he's going to go as well. An unfortunate moment there, and tap of the wall. That's not going to help him out too much, but not going to hurt him either. Field is a little bit spread out right towards the end of this last race of the season, but to the point I was going to raise, this will be Ian Joyner's 5th win this season, which will be by quite a long way the most amount of wins for anybody this season in Spec 1.
Yeah, absolutely. Ian just comes in and just wins races. That's kind of really what he does, and he just shows how great of a driver he is in these cars, especially in the wet. In the wet, I don't think there's anybody out there that can match him week in and week out. But, you know, that being said, Pollard took it really deep. He gained a little bit of time, so the gap's only a second and a half. I think we're going to be coming to the white flag this time, so we'll see what happens. You got to keep the car on the track. You can't make any mistakes. There's no way to catch up if you do.
Yeah, at this point in time, one more lap from this race, one more lap from this season, and Ian Joyner on track to cap off the season in style. But if he has a screw up, Mikey Pollard is going to be right there to try and capitalize on it. Just set his fastest lap of the race last time by to 148.8. So clearly, Mikey Pollard, as much as he's in P2 with basically no time left to go in this race, he is not out of gas either. So he's looking to have a good end to this season, as I think there may have been some drama involving Dan Witzak down to turn number 4. Let's see it. As a bit of a sideways snap on the curb on the inside, hits the outside curb and has another sideways snap. He held on to it, though. The ninja-like reflexes from Witzak to keep that car going in a straight line. Whoa, man. That's
catch by Pollard there, but he's closed the gap. He's under a second, so he's making a charge on the last lap.
Yeah, Joyner had a moment in his own regard as well. This track, it's raining yet again. These conditions going back to how they were a little bit earlier on. Joyner, he's running around like a dog on a freshly polished wood floor, trying to figure out any way in the book to hold on to this race lead. Mikey Pollard, though, in that number 73 car, he's within striking distance. These two did battle a couple of weeks ago at Silverstone, and in that race, it was Joyner victorious at the end of it all. But this may be a battle for the ages between these drivers. If Joyner has another trip up, Pollard will be there to pick up the pieces as they head their way down into the Melbourne hairpin for the final time. You can see how much Pollard was able to close that gap up on corner entry and is still going to keep that momentum rolling. I thought that gap was going to balloon out yet again. Not close enough to be able to go for a dive heading down into turn number 12. Got to hope for a mistake from Joyner, but he's usually calm, cool, and collected, cool as a cucumber. And for the 5th time this season and rounding it off, Ian Joyner will win this race here at Donington Park. It's Mikey Pollard finishing in P2, setting the fast lap of the race in the process there, as well as a 147.9. Talk about him being on a hard charge at the end of that race. My, oh my. Daniel Tufts, though, as he heads his way out of turn number 11 for the final time. It will be a rather peculiar season here in the history of the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors, because Daniel Tufts, he's been consistent, he's been calm, and he has been quick. Yet to win a race thus far this season. It's not going to come here, but what he will get instead is a championship win here in Season 2 of 2025. Daniel Tufts is your Spec 1 champion.
Yeah, consistency paying off for Tufts. Great drive all season long.
Absolutely amazing stuff from him, as Antonio Reese going to win it in the Masters class. It is another feather in his cap. That's going to be his 8th win this season in class, as Josh Wilkie going to finish right behind him, P6. And Dan Witzak will cross the line here in a couple of moments' time to win yet again in Spec 2. It was kind of expected. It sounds like there's some construction work going on right behind me, as Dan Witzak will win it in Spec 2 in the 413 car. That is his 8th win this season. He was the only driver in that Spec 2 category to get multiple wins throughout this season. Everyone else only had 1 win. That is insane stuff from Witzak. Really looking forward to seeing what he'll do in Spec 1 next season.
Yeah, it's going to be another one of those guys that jumps up there and is instantly competitive. But you know, it's we've got some great drivers up there, and it's going to be a challenge for him to compete with those Spec 1 drivers week in and week out, as Jeff Wepker makes it around to be our last finisher. P8 overall and P2 in the Masters class. So good run by Wepker to hang on and get that P8.
And overall, though, despite the fact it was a wet and wild race, I gotta say it was a rather entertaining one. Didn't see the side-to-side racing that we usually see week in and week out here in the FF Weekend Warriors, but that was still a good race, and what a way to bring this season to a close, as the old rivals who did battle throughout this season go side by side, and congratulating Daniel Tufts, your champion. Gotta take a commercial break, and we'll be right back with some results, some interviews, and to wrap off this Formula Ford Weekend Warriors season.
6 years ago, this was my simulator. Now, I'm a Radical US champion and IMSA driver. My technique in the simulator is what brought me here. Now, I created the Almeida Racing Academy, a place where members can participate in weekly broadcasted championship races, practice sessions, coaching workshops, and much more. We already have 11,000 students in the academy, and we're growing faster than ever. Our membership gives you everything you need every week to improve consistently and become a competitive driver. So join now as a member, and I will see you on track.
It's the end of the season here from the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors. We just saw a wet and wild race at Donington Park, but for the 5th time this season, your race winner is going to be Ian Joyner. We're going to get those results loaded up here in a couple of moments' time. Let you know that as much as he led throughout a vast majority of this race, it was not a slam dunk win at the end of the day. Only 6/10, nearly 7/10 of a second between himself and Mikey Pollard right at the end of this final race of the season. Daniel Tufts, though, he will be your big winner at the end of it all. Finishes in 3rd, but more importantly is your champion at the end of this season. Michael McConnell will finish right in tow in 4th. Antonio Reese will win yet again in the Masters class in P5. Josh Wilkie will finish in 6th in front of your Spec 2 champion of Dan Witzak and your Spec 2 winner of Dan Witzak as well. He was uncontested, so it kind of goes without saying. Jeff Webker will finish in P8 in front of Alan DeGassis in P9. Kevin Adrian ends up 1 lap down at the end of this race after a a rather big moment that took him out of championship contention. Søren Garrett had a really ill-handling race car in the earlier stages. Eventually, that handling caught up to him as he is classed in P11, 16 laps down. And Sean Doyle, the man entering this race with the championship points lead, has a cataclysmic day here at Donington and loses it in the final race. Still a good season from Sean Doyle, but he is going to walk away championshipless at the end of the season here for season 2 of the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors. It was a beautiful season from start to finish. We've got some drivers looking to have a chat with us, and Charles, I think I'm going to pass the mic off to you to have a chat with somebody. Who do you want to have a chat with first?
Well, let's talk to the race winner today, and I'll leave the champ to you. Let's bring in Ian Joyner and talk about today's race in the season overall. Ian, congratulations. Another race win, number 5 for you for this season. Did not quite make the entire season, or you would have been absolutely a championship contender. But let's talk about today's race. Obviously, conditions were not great out there, and it looked like everybody was kind of riding that struggle bus a little bit.
Yeah, it was definitely a difficult one, keeping it on the track. It was relatively stable through in terms of the amount of wet. It just dried up a little bit, so we had quite a long time to kind of get used to it. But it's always difficult, and just very, very easy to go a little bit late into anywhere really. And the faster stuff as well. The aquaplane is quite horrible. I'm sure loads of people will have lost it. I nearly lost it lots of times. It's really difficult. Just a lot of concentration.
Yeah, for sure. There were lots of guys that were exploring track limits a little bit. We'll say it like that. It was definitely a challenging race. So you came in for a pit stop, about midpoint of the race, a little bit longer than most everybody else. Was it just maybe just didn't have it set properly for the rain? Just took too much fuel. Because obviously gave Mikey a chance to challenge you a little bit at the end of the race there, because his pit stop was about 7 seconds quicker.
Yeah, to be honest, it was pit crew error, which the pit crew is me, so not my error. But didn't put the full fuel amount in, so I had to stop early, and that really costs you here, because then you have to put that fuel in during a pit stop, obviously, which is race time. So I kind of realised I'd done it early on. And there's not much I could do really other than hope that the gap was just about enough, which it was in the end. But yeah, it was pretty tight. But to fair, Mikey was really fast, so I think if he'd maybe qualified behind me, I'm sure we'd have been together the whole race. So got a little bit close at the end, but yeah, it was all good.
All right, well, season done. So I'm assuming we'll expect to see you back at maybe next season for a few races, or are you thinking maybe we're going to come in and run the entire thing? I know it's summertime, and you being a real life racer, that generally means you're going to be out at the track a lot more on the weekends than you normally would be. So what are your current plans, or I should say future plans for your racing?
Yeah, I'm not sure next time round. Honestly, I'm not a real life racer. I'm definitely only a sim racer. Maybe in another life, but yeah, not this one. But I have got work and family and everything, so it is a busy time of year, so it's not always easy to get the time out. I'm certain I will be at some of it. We'll see how it goes. And there's a couple of other things I could potentially do as well, so I'll definitely be doing something, and I'm sure I will see you at least some of the season.
There we go. All right, Ian, congratulations.
Great fun racing with these guys.
Yeah, Thank absolutely. Congratulations, and I'll let you give any thanks for shout outs, and we'll let you go enjoy your 5th victory of the season.
Nice, guys. Yeah. Thanks to you lot as always for the great job on production and everything. It's really, really fun watching it back. Thanks to Stevie. It's been I know I've not been here every week, but it's been another great season. Enjoyed it every time I've been here. And nice job, Mikey. Thanks to everyone else on the track today.
All right, Ian, thank you very much. And, all right, congratulations. See you next time.
Thank you.
And that right there is our race winner at the end of it all. Ian Joyner, another victory for him this season. Absolutely fantastic stuff from him. Always nice to see him out there on the racetrack here in the Weekend Warriors. He doesn't get back-to-back championships, but I think if he is a consistent force next season, we may have to lump him in with that discussion. But one driver I want to have a chat with is a man who, despite not grabbing a victory in Spec 1 this season, is going to walk away champion, I believe. Daniel Tufts, welcome into the booth, man, and well done this season. How about you talk us through this very dramatic end to it here at Donington?
Yeah, it was an interesting race. I thought I was going to do pretty well from the practice session, but then the race started and it was just moderately wet, and the rear had no grip. I went for that, I don't know what corner it is, but it touched the curb. That was kind of it. So from there on, I was just like pacing myself, making sure I just kept in the instant limit, and yeah, just brought a podium home.
Yeah, so P3 at the end of this race, but I believe it's going to be the championship as well for you in Spec 1. I want to ask you about your thoughts on this season. I've seen a lot of different twists and turns, many different racetracks. It was definitely not a straightforward path to get here, was it?
No, I've had some terrible races, but some really good races as well. I never got a win, but I think I got pretty close in Zandvoort with Ian. But yeah, I had some... It was an interesting season. I didn't even realise I'd be in this position at this point, halfway through. So I'm kind of happy with ending up here.
Yes, I can imagine you're quite pleased at the end of this season, and maybe looking ahead to season 3 of 2025. Looking through the season schedule, got a wide variety of racetracks, at least for the official series that we base our schedules off of here in the Weekend Warriors. Not 100% sure if that will be the full schedule that we go for over here, but looking ahead to season 3, what are your thoughts / expectations heading into it?
I'm hoping more people join up with the tracks we picked for the new season. It should be interesting, should be good. They're all pretty good tracks for this car, and yeah, just looking forward to it. See if I can maintain this momentum.
And also looking ahead in 1 week's time here in the Weekend Warriors world, going to be running the Week 13 45th Weekend Warriors runoffs at Road America this upcoming weekend. So are you going to be out there on the racetrack for that? And if so, how are you thinking about that?
I think it's the first time I've renewed the track beforehand, or the first time I've been in the runoffs, which I knew the track beforehand at least. So it should be good. I'll be doing all 3 cars. I'll be terrible in 2 of them, probably, but it should be good fun.
And I think there's going to be some discussions held after this broadcast, at least for me, in terms of maybe being out there on the racetrack for one of those races next weekend, potentially. We'll just have to wait and see how everything works out. So if I am out there on the racetrack for you, I'll probably be well behind you, but when you come up to lap me, I apologize if I hold you up. So I'll get that apology squared away right off the bat. And Daniel, I'll let you give any thanks or shouts out before we let you go and celebrate this championship.
To Stevie for organising, and to you for broadcasting. It's been good fun just watching these back after each race, and it's been a good season for that.
Oh, that it absolutely has, and at the end of it, you're going to be leaving it with a championship crown. Daniel, thank you for joining us here in the commentary booth. Congratulations on the championship win, and excites you back out on the racetrack for Season 3.
Thanks for having me.
And that right there was your champion in Spec 1, Daniel Tufts. And Charles, we got the Masters champion and Masters winner at the end of this race, Antonio Reese, up there in the interview waiting area. I will drag him in so you can have a chat with him once again.
All right, sounds good. Antonio, congratulations on the race class win, and more importantly, on the class championship. I know we've talked with you several times. And, you focused strictly on the Formula Fords this season. You kind of laid off of the spec racers, and it looks like that has paid off for you with a championship victory.
Oh, hello. Good night. Good to see you again. Yeah, I don't know if I won the championship, but if it is true, I believe you, then I'm very happy.
Yeah, I think you won it about 2 weeks ago. So
wow.
Good. So yeah, it was a pretty dominant win, and that just, I'm very happy for you, because I know that
Thank you.
I've been doing this for the for the 2 or 3 years now, and I always kind of lean because I'm up there with you guys as far as age is concerned. So I'm always kind of looking out for my Masters drivers, and it's basically been you and Jorg and a score of others, and all these other guys. But it's been just great battles between you guys, and you always put on not only a great show in your class, but you're always up there competing for the overall win. So
as much as we can.
Yeah, hats off to you for that. So talk about the race a little bit today. Is obviously the conditions were not ideal by any stretch of the imagination. It was a very difficult racetrack out there to deal with.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe these guys, they want me to take my championship win from me, then they put rain on the last race because I'm so bad on the rain. But I'm really terrible on the rain. Even in real life racing, I will always stay last when there's a rain race. So I can somehow have no skills for rain. I don't know to figure it out, where to go, where, get the dry lines and all of that. I have no knowledge about rain race. So I do mistakes, and then I just spin on the first lap, and I spin again. At least 3 times I was spinning. Then I was all by myself spinning as well, with no traffic. So
I promise. We watched this race. It wasn't just you. There was a lot of that going on today. So Antonio, next week, obviously the runoffs, all three cars will be at Road America. So how many cars are you going to try and run next week?
Oh, all of them. Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. I'll be there with all of the different races. So I'm very happy that Steve organized that, and we are able to get another runoffs. Yeah.
There you go. All right. Well, Antonio, congratulations on the class win and the championship. And we'll let you give any thanks or shout outs, and we'll let you go celebrate.
Yeah, as usual, I always, first of all is Steve Ray for the father of the league for about more than 10 years or something like that. And then for you guys, for the broadcast is amazing. Without you, we would never be, having that fun as we have. And then also, for the drivers, all the community, as Steve Ray say, is nothing without the drivers. So, and then for the sponsors, Almeida for this season, and thank you for the sponsoring this league is fantastic. And usually I have to thank someone more I'm forgetting, but anyway, forgive me.
That's okay, Antonio. Well, congratulations, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you again. Yeah, see you next week. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay, Charles, bye.
And that right there is Antonio Reese, your Masters winner and Masters champion at the end of this final race of the season. Charles, Season 2 of 2025. Lots of different racetracks, lots of different winners, some very fantastic standout races. Just an overall season that had just about everything you could really want from a league.
It really did. It was once again a little British heavy, but overall fantastic racing from the drop of the green flag on race 1 until the checker here. Just some great battles on the track. We've seen pretty much everything there is to see this season, but there's always more to come. Can't wait for the runoffs next week. It's a great track. I love Road America, especially for these cars. It's such a history in real life, and these teams always put on a good show at the track at Road America. So I'm really looking forward to it.
And of course, you can catch all the action with the 45th Weekend Warriors V runoffs at Road America this upcoming weekend here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. The same standout stars that you see week in and week out here in the Weekend Warriors world, and some of the other stars that you were able to catch on the Wednesday night Ray Esports Club Racing League season will be out there on the racetrack as well. You can see Michelle Squirick, who was very quick in that series, along with the likes of Casey Knight and some others. Josh Justice, who we see occasionally in these Weekend Warriors races. races as well. I think I saw a lot of those racers registered for that. And looking ahead to Season 3 here from the Weekend Warriors Formula Fords, the official season schedule is looking very, very intense. We've got races at Alton Park, the Red Bull Ring, Summit Point, Watkins Glen, Road Atlanta, Laguna Seca, Long Beach, VIR on the north layout to be a bit more precise, Bathurst, Sonoma on the long version of the NASCAR Cup layout, Slavin, and Donington. This exact same venue, of course, on the national layout though, so a bit of a detour that we can take to make it a little bit shorter, but that will be the action for the official season schedule. Again, tune in a couple of weeks and we will get you the full-on Weekend Warriors season schedule for Season 3 of 2025. And just a brief little point before we wrap things up, want to once again thank you, Charles, for being back here in the commentary booth for this season. Mr. Guido Marzucchi doing a fantastic job all season long, working all the cameras and the graphics and the virtual production hauler. Almeida Racing Academy, which has been the fantastic supporter for us over the second half of this season, along with some other sponsors that we had in the first half of this season, I should say. Want to thank Stevie Ray for all the hard work that he does behind the scenes to make these leagues possible. Mr. Joshua Wilkie for all the work that he does to make SMB possible, and to all of you drivers who tune into these broadcasts, and all of you viewers who tune into these broadcasts as well. It's been over a year now since I got on these Weekend Warrior shows full time. It's really become my broadcasting home, and to all of you, I can never ever thank you enough for the kindness and generosity you've shown me over the years. But for one final time, for season number 2 of 2025, that will do it. So for myself, Ron Maunz, Charles Boshell joining me in the commentary booth, and Guido Marzucchi doing a wonderful job working on the cameras and the graphics and the virtual production hauler, I say thank you all so very much for watching Season 2 of 2025 from the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors, and we hope to see you all for Season 3 coming up in about 2 weeks' time.